Let's kick things off with a little thought experiment. Imagine a simple drawing, just a stick man on a piece of paper. But what if that stick man was conscious? What if he started looking around his flat, two-dimensional world and started asking some really big questions? Well, we're going to join him on that journey and see just how far a little curiosity can take him. So, here he is, our hero, living his life on a sheet of paper. And right there with him is this mysterious object. Now, to you and me, it's obviously a coin, sitting heads up. But to him, it's a perfect circle, a fundamental part of his universe that he is absolutely determined to figure out. And this, right here, is the central question of this whole thing. How can a being who only understands length and width even start to imagine something like depth, let alone prove it exists? It's a puzzle that's going to push his mind to the absolute edge. Okay, so first things first, we need to get inside his head. We've got to see the world exactly as he sees it, based on what he can observe and measure. Let's establish the basic laws and paradoxes of his 2D reality. He starts with the science, what he can actually prove. He walks all the way around the circle, and he measures it. He finds out its width is 5 centimeters, and its height is also 5 centimeters. He's using real, hard data. And his logic tells him, hey, if it's a circle, you can split it in half, which means there must be two sides. And bam, this is where he hits his first major wall. Every bit of logic is screaming that a tail side has to exist, but his eyes, his senses, can only ever show him heads. He's now stuck with this incredible challenge. How do you prove something exists when you can never, ever see it? This first puzzle, this paradox of perception, it kind of leads him straight into an even weirder problem, the paradox of motion. It's not just about what the coin is, it's about why he and the coin seem to follow completely different rules in the same exact space. So he's thinking, wait a second, how am I able to walk around this circle if the circle itself is totally fixed in place? I mean, he can count his steps, he can do the math, he knows for a fact that he's moving. But that coin, it just stays put. How can that be? His solution to this is actually pretty brilliant. He theorizes that there must be some kind of medium that everything exists on, right? The very fabric of his reality. He calls it the aether. To him, the aether is the paper, and it's what allows him to move, carrying him along as he walks. But, every good theory has a but, right? A good scientist has to poke holes in his own ideas, and he immediately finds one. If this aether is carrying the carbon atoms that make up his body, then it absolutely should be carrying the carbon atoms of the coin too. Why would it move one but not the other? And this is where his mind just goes to another level. He comes up with an idea that sounds a heck of a lot like our own theory of relativity. He figures the coin must be denser, and that density actually bends the ether around it. This means the coin experiences time differently. So his big conclusion? Time isn't constant. Time must be relative. Okay, so he's basically just invented relativity to solve the motion problem. Pretty impressive. But that still doesn't explain the original mystery. What about the unseen side of the coin? How on earth can he prove that tails is real? He's trying everything. He comes up with a theory of light. He calls the particles photons. But even when he stands on the opposite side of the circle where tails should be, nothing. No photons are coming from it. It's completely invisible to him. The proof is just not there. To get around this, he takes another, just a huge intellectual leap. He proposes that something can't really be confirmed to exist unless you can actively observe it. This leads him to a concept that is incredibly similar to our quantum idea of superposition. The side he can see, that's in a positive state. It's observed, it's real. The unseen tail side, he figures, must exist in a negative state, a state of pure probability, just waiting to be seen. So we've got all these incredible ideas floating around. Ether, relativity, superposition. It's like he's collected all the puzzle pieces, and now he's about to put them all together into one single, beautiful theory that is going to change his understanding of, everything. He gives his grand theory a fittingly grand name, the Cockatungla unification. This is his big shot at finally tying the paradox of motion together with the paradox of perception, creating one single, cohesive model of his reality. And here it is, the big aha moment. He realizes that relative time and superposition, they aren't just abstract ideas. They're shadows of something real. So he replaces them with an actual, physical, third spatial dimension, a dimension of depth. And he calls it V. So, just like that, the laws of his universe are completely rewritten. X is the width, Y is the height, but now there's V. And V is the dimension where that whole probability state where tails might exist actually becomes real. He literally thought his way into a third dimension.
But here's the thing. Inventing a new dimension does more than just solve a physics problem. As he starts to peer into this new V dimension, he discovers something so profound it reveals the true nature of his own existence. So he looks up into V and he sees the coin, sure, but he also sees a shadow of himself. And then, oh wow, he sees something else. The shadow of a hand holding a pencil, the very hand that drew him, the hand that drew the coin. And that's when it all clicks. His shadow self is just his 2D form. And this whole V dimension, that's our 3D world. His creator isn't some god up in the sky. It's a being in the very next dimension up from him, the one holding the pencil. He's just discovered us.
I mean, can you imagine? This knowledge just completely reshapes his reality. He now understands his place in the cosmos. He understands his relationship with his creator. But maybe more importantly, he now understands his own potential.
See, the journey doesn't just stop with the discovery. It ends with empowerment. Realizing he was created gives him this deep insight into the nature of creation itself. And suddenly, that line between the created and the creator, it starts to get a little blurry. And with that, he finally solves the original puzzle. How can he see the tail side of the coin? He realizes he doesn't have to observe it, he has to create it. He picks up a pencil and he draws. By figuring out the rules of his reality, he's just earned the power to write some new ones.
Which really leaves us with one last thought. Using nothing but pure reason, this simple drawing didn't just understand a higher dimension. He became a creator in his own world. And it just makes you wonder, what are the unseen dimensions of our own reality? And more importantly, what are you going to draw into yours?